Unreal Motion graphics used as UI in a project gives us a large tool set for creating interfaces for our players to reference and make decisions, alter game-wide settings, or make small adjustments to a specific blueprint. It can be used as our control panel to monitor and alter the game. Referencing a previous course, when we discussed the various mechanics developers have created to manage UI interaction, we're going to be creating a 3D widget that we can have connected to our camera as a hood or attached to our hand. The movement and rotation of this widget attached to the camera or our hand in world space will incorporate the smooth follow behavior we discussed. We'll build a system that will allow you to change the interpolation speed, the attach point, and many other settings all in real time. There will be a greater effort up front, but when finished, we'll be ready to be expanded upon to reflect the needs of your own projects. Together, we won't be building any of the UMG from scratch, as our UI team has already built the pieces we're going to need. But while we won't spend lots of time building the UI, we have been tasked with creating the logic of how it is set up and how our player interacts with it. Feel free to take some time to look around the various widgets to see how they're built hierarchically. Let's start by looking at what all has been provided. Open the folder darts UI UMG hood and open WP_user hood. The primary widget inside of this UMG is the widget switcher. We need to develop a way to cycle between the menus by clicking on the arrow buttons at the bottom. Go ahead and preview the added widgets inside of the widget switcher hood by selecting them. Starting at the top of our widget switcher hood, we have options to set for our locomotion. Next is user interface options, then player settings, game settings, and leaderboard display. As you cycle through them, the settings may look familiar if you have been with us since the beginning of the learning path. We earlier created a structure asset holding the default values for our VR player settings, and we're going to alter those settings through this UI. Right-click on WC Hood Player Settings and select Edit Widget Blueprint, as this one is a bit special. Starting at the top, as with all of them, is the name of this group of settings. Following that is the setting to alter the player color. This slider is a widget of its own. Rather than create a slider each time it is needed, we created one and will give it a variety of variables that are instance editable, so we can use it as many times as needed for any purpose. I say this one is special because while it is a traditional slider that provides us a float value of the handle's position on the bar, this specific one uses that data, controlled by the user, to select the hue that our hands should be. It is also going to give us a preview of this new hue in the box where there currently is the number 5. For this slider, we'll want to hide the number and show the blue box. For the other sliders that use this same widget, we'll want to show the number and hide the blue box. For the buttons, they themselves are also their own widgets. Right-click on one of the buttons and select Edit Widget Blueprint. Inside of the button is also a child widget at the very bottom of the hierarchy called W_Core Button. A quick note for your building of widgets. The further down in a hierarchy stack means the object is higher up. For a button like this, we want the W_Core button on the very top of everything, so when we interact with it, W_Core button is what we're interacting with. W_Core button was created for maximum reusability. If you were to also open W_Core button, you would find a widget with a simple button with 0% opacity. It has no size restraints and can be used anywhere. The ultimate function of this widget is to send whatever values it contains to our parent pawn, who will then handle what to do with this information, including communicating back with WP user hood to call a function that could potentially lead to changes all the way back to this W settings button. We need to create a new enumeration asset that we can assign to our buttons. Navigate to the enumerations folder inside of the dev folder. Right-click and create a new enumeration asset named eButtonAction, and open it up. Also, open the struct VR player settings asset for us to reference. That is located in the dev folder, structure, struct VR player settings. We need to create a value for each of the settings we want to be able to change, starting with menu left, menu right, locomotion teleport, then locomotion controller. Vignette screen on and vignette screen off. We'll work our way down the list, creating a new value for each setting that we want to change. Save the asset. We need to create one more asset. Navigate to the structure folder and create a new structure asset named struct user settings temp and open it. Named struct user settings temp. This will contain 3 variables, each of a different type that will allow full use of anything we want to send to our pawn. The reason this is a temp asset is because it will be used by every button to write over the value they need when they are pressed. Rename the Boolean variable to integer and make it an integer variable. Add a new float variable named float. Lastly, add a linear color variable named color. With these 3 variables, we'll be able to alter any setting we currently want to change. If you'd like a challenge, continue following along but with your own settings that you'd like to change. Perhaps the walking speed of our pawn or rotation speed, or the color or intensity of some lights you've added to the scene, maybe the color of the dart flag even. Next, we'll discuss UX and interaction inside of Unreal Engine.